trying to figure out how to either get the bridge reconstructed or have the bridge torn down so that we can give access back to the marsh. Because to West Utica, that was kind of, I know it sounds a little crazy to some people, that's kind of like Proctor Park to West Utica. People would go fish, canoe, hike. I grew up launching a boat with my parents at Barnes Ave. It was a very active part of the community. So that just right there was an initiative where I wanted to address this. But then you talk about the actual neighborhood that surrounds Barnes Ave. Okay, not much attention has been paid to the neighborhood at all for quite some time. So we have to start somewhere. We met with CSX in hopes that we could work with CSX to maintain, tear down, and open access to the marsh. What we did find was that in 2023, a commitment was made that the bridge would be torn down. Great, that's awesome. We don't have to pay to tear a bridge down. But it was also stated that there was no initiative to reopen the marsh to effectively Utica. Right now, if you want to be in the marsh, you have to go to 49, walk over a foot trail, and walk in from that point, or you could actually get there from North Tennessee Street, but West Utica was like left out of the fact that you could get to the marsh again, the canal, the river, etc. You bring us to now, our new planning department employees, Chris Lawrence, who is the Deputy Commissioner of Urban and Economic Development, and our Director of Community Development, Urban and Economic Development, and our Director of Community Development, Laura Cohen, are now with us, and we have embarked on creating a plan around what is going to happen when the Barnes Ave Bridge is torn down. Effectively, CSX is going to tear the bridge down, but then just walk away when it's done. So this is so that we can both gather community input, figure out where people want to see the neighborhood go once that bridge is removed, but also through this, we have the opportunity so that the funding to create these plans and the actionable work that has to go into anything where the city can apply for a CFA or work with the state to rebuild that neighborhood around that bridge or any of the ancillary parts for that matter, we'll be able to do that with those plans. So this is the beginning of this. So this public meeting is huge because this is online, this is here. It'll be on Chancellor Park at the Farmers Market tomorrow. And the whole idea is we'd like you to listen to the presentation, really kind of absorb what we're doing here, which is setting the sights on where this neighborhood and the entire Western Gateway District can go, by the way. It's not just this neighborhood. This particular presentation is, but we're going to get into a few other things. But then on top of that, we want input. We want people writing things on these boards. We want people saying, hey, this looks cool, maybe we could do this. Oriskany Street has come a long way in the past 15 years. We had a lot of new investors, one of them sitting back there actually, Moto World. And it's a phenomenal street. It's had a lot of redevelopment, and we want to make sure that something like the Barnes Ave Bridge, which is now an eyesore and a problem, getting torn down, doesn't just create a new hole in a neighborhood that we feel matters very much. So with that, I'd like to bring Carrie Martin up. That's all right. For the presentation. Thank you. I'm going to grab my water.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a pretty small room. So my name is Carrie Martin. I am from NJIT TAB, Technical Assistance to Brownfield Communities. You might be wondering what that is. Essentially, we provide free technical assistance to communities that have brownfield properties, which I'll get into in a second, in New York and New Jersey. So we collaborate with the EPA, the New York State Department of State, the New York State Environmental Conservation, and folks like you, and cities all across New York, just to be here for any assistance you might need. Next slide. So what is a brownfield? I'm going to start this presentation very high level, and then we're going to go in a little bit deeper into what's happening on the ground in the City of Utica, at the corridor level, and at the neighborhood level. So what is a brownfield? The EPA defines it as real property, the expansion, redevelopment, and reuse, which could be complicated by presence or potential presence of a hazardous substance, contaminant, or pollutant. Some states have more nuances to their definitions. You can see New York State DEC on the board here, but essentially we're talking about vacant properties, potentially abandoned properties that have contaminants in the soil or in the buildings themselves, or even the potential presence of those that make it difficult to redevelop those properties to revitalize the neighborhood, essentially. Next slide. So, as the mayor mentioned, the City of Utica has something called a BOA, the Brownfield Opportunity Area. So this is a planning designation in New York State that will allow a municipality to take advantage of some state funding resources, because it shows in order to get this BOA plan done, you have to have community engagement, public engagement like we're having here, and get buy-in from the public about how the city wants to transform these vacant properties. And so because you're showing to the state that there's buy-in from the public about the plan that you want to implement, it opens up additional funding opportunities. So, thank you. So the City of Utica has already gone through this process. They've already had some public engagement where they've had input in what is the Central Industrial Corridor Brownfield Opportunity Area, and they've created this plan where they've divided this corridor or this Brownfield Opportunity Area into 4 sub-districts, as you see here. So we have West Utica, we have Bag Street District, Bag Square District, we have Broad Street Corridor, and we have Harbor District. So it kind of divides it into 4 sub-districts, and all of these little dots are these vacant, potentially contaminated properties that the city's already identified. And through this plan, which you can find online, they have a variety of reuses that they want to implement on these properties, in and around these properties. Next slide. So we've taken it high level, we've gone down to what's happening in the City of Utica, and now let's go down to the corridor level. So here in West Utica, you can see this is that map right over there. You can see it all outlined. So in this corridor, the plan talks about improving the streetscapes, providing opportunity to access green space. You can see here the Barnes Avenue neighborhood is zoomed in on and outlined, as well as the bridge, which the mayor said is going to be taken down. And so essentially, next slide. These are some of the proposed land uses that the plan mentions. So they're looking in these vacant properties to make some space for commercial businesses, to create some additional housing options, construct new sidewalks, widen existing sidewalks, improve landscaping, increase street lighting, build new bike lanes with salt bike racks, manage traffic, create safer sidewalks, and provide street benches. Essentially, as you can see in these potential renderings here, talking about business improvement, neighborhood improvement by creating more and safer streets and roadways for pedestrians as well as for motorists. So then again, this is talking about all of West Utica and what uses they're looking for there. But then we zoom in specifically on Barnes Ave. And as the mayor mentioned before, the CSX bridge spanning the railroad tracks is going to be removed. And the purpose of the meeting today, and the majority of the rest of the time today, is going to be devoted to hearing everyone's feedback on what they want to see done once that bridge is removed, how we want to potentially take advantage of the funding opportunities made available through New York State Department of State to bring about neighborhood improvement. So this is my information. If you wanted to learn more about brownfields, I'm going to invite the city up so we can talk about the various activities that we have here that will provide some structure into your input.
Well,
Yeah, but if
I'll
you-
just do a little pre-intro now with me, and then we'll take questions. So, yeah, let's go. All right, so quick presentation, just to introduce what's going on, why it's going on. What everyone needs to remember here is all of these plans, I'm just going to rip a Band-Aid off on this, right? All of these types of plans always come in with the same kind of really nice-looking utopian visions of if there was billions of dollars, what could be here, right? That's why when you go through that bullet list, it's typically always a very similar mix of housing and streetscapes, et cetera, all that type of stuff. Now, those plans are put together like that purposely so that if people embark on different studies like seeker or environmental assessment like impact studies, or a developer wants to come in, or people who already own houses and businesses want to work with everyone else, either by themselves or with partners, they kind of can see all that. So that is kind of all opportunistic proposal in these plans when they come out, right? So the point of what we're doing here is really laying out, this is what we have. We know the bridge is coming down, and we want to hear raw input on realistic things you feel like could happen, because we need to scope things to reality, and we want that reality to come from the actual neighborhood. So with that, I will open it up to questions for anyone, and again, Chris and Laura for anything else for the team. Any questions before we dive into it? All right, let's go.
So my question is, you want to have CSX tear the bridge down?
Well, no, they said they're tearing it down.
Okay.
The previous administration verbally told them they can take it down in 2023, the summer of.
Why is it still up?
Well, it's still up because, what was it, a couple months ago?
So to get into the minutia of it all, CSX received a grant from the New York State Department of Transportation specifically. We actually have the grant agreement if you want to see it here, but they received $950,000 to take the bridge down, and they just executed the agreement. I want to say it's June 29th.
Now, they did this kind of on their own after they have to go ahead. And the reason we're here today is rather than see a bridge come down and then everyone scrambles to figure out what to do after the fact, we're here now to talk to the neighbors about it and say they are taking it down. So when it comes down, we want to know what to do next. But we have ideas what we do, but we want it to be formed by business owners and residents.
This has been out for how many years?
Right,
Since 2014.
2014.
14 years, so why are we gonna allow something that's already been done for 14 years?
We made it been done.
There's nothing going on there for 14 years.
Well, the bridge is being torn down now.
Yeah, but now when it's down, we got to tell something on that side of the bridge where it's contaminated?
No, it's not necessarily contaminated, that's not what it's contaminated is.
I'm saying, not contaminated.
All right. Separate from that, your question is, CSX is tearing a bridge down. Why should the city care about it at all right now?
No, I'm saying, why do we have to develop it? Why gotta?
I
One,
think what he's asking is, if you're taking the bridge down, why are we putting a pedestrian bridge up to go back?
we aren't. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you read a bunch of, everything on, everything that was on the advertisement of what could happen were suggestions of things people might come here and write down and want to see.
Yeah, we're at the
My-
very beginning of everything, so
Right,
just
so-
before they take the bridge down, we don't want anybody to be caught off guard as we sort of felt talking to CSX when we were discussing, could we potentially fix the bridge? Can we, make this into a pedestrian bridge? And the answer was no, because they had, what Laura said, already going.
Right, so,
So we just want to make sure that we get all of your input now so that we plan for, if you want to see a bridge, we can put that into the plans. If you don't want to see a bridge, nobody will waste time on that,
so I went into that meeting with CSX, like, hey, you guys are done with this bridge, right? I want access to the marsh. So either tear it down and have a railroad crossing, right? Or fix the bridge. And they're like, no, we're actually decided to tear it down already. That's fine. Like, literally. Okay, that's what was decided by them. They're tearing it down. And the options were, because now they're committed to tearing their bridge down, getting rid of it, and then everything else outside the scope of that is on us. So, we could do nothing, right, which is not good. Or we could do something like this and then just be ready. Or we could do something like this, gather a lot of input, and along the way, while this process is playing out, we could continue to have meetings with the state, with CSX, and everyone else involved, and say, hey, by the way, it's still kind of messed up that you're just tearing us down after all these years and leaving us with this mess, legitimately. And if there's anything else you could do to help us fix this neighborhood around it, please help us, right? Because I personally feel they should be, right? And I don't want to do that without input. Because then I'd be flying blind, my team would be flying blind, and we might say, hey, reconnect all the streets right across, and then the neighbors are going to go, hey, you know, we'd much rather when they had a street going through here because we like our little cul-de-sacs, right? So this is truly just an input meeting where we want to see, like, imagine that bridge gone, right? And tell us what might, in your opinion, go there. I'm never really necessarily a fan of pedestrian bridges. I like crossings and all that. CSX wasn't hot on that, but the reality is they were kind of like set in stone. And we're just trying to get ahead of this so we can not only make plans now, but if there's any other opportunities from EPA, from DEC, anything that's partnered with CSX while they're doing this work, we can take opportunity and match it with things that the city and the neighborhood wants.
And when the bridge is taken down, do you want between the Briskany Street and the railroad to just be, you know, a 40 to 50 foot wide street that just turns into a Raven parking lot?
Who
Do you want
owns
it to
that?
be a park? Do you want it, like, what?
All right, so
Does
who owns
CSX
it?
own that
Right.
land under the bridge?
They own the bridge.
So the
We own,
land,
the city of,
the
the
land is
city has
ours.
the right of way underneath, but they own the actual bridge.
So it's kind of a weird situation where they're like,
Yeah.
we're taking the bridge down and walking away, and then you're left with, you know,
Mayor,
a hole.
one of the things that myself and Sheila Dean, she has a business right across the street with that with that bridge that's currently there. Obviously, so the city of Utica, the railroad track is the border, correct?
It's what?
On the other side of the railroad track is Whitestown?
Well, yes. Well, no, depending on where you are.
Okay.
So
let's
a
just say
large
that-
portion of the marsh is Utica. So when you go across that bridge, that's Utica, because that's where Bob's Auto was. That's where Paris Gun, was it Paris Gun Club? The Pistol Ring? Yeah, it was Paris.
But it was only Utica until the Mohawk River.
Correct.
You cross the Mohawk River, you're in Marcy.
Now you're in Marcy.
So I guess what I was gonna mention is part of the problem with the bridge, whether it be the current bridge or another bridge or pedestrian bridge, it links the marsh, which everybody, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, there's a lot of homeless that are there. So they come across that bridge and a lot of people can see them on pedal bikes come across that bridge. So having regardless if it's the current bridge, which obviously sounds like it's gone, but if you spend the money to put another bridge, whether it be a pedestrian or a nice car bridge, if there's nothing on the other side or if the police aren't gonna, you know.
Well, so I want to address that, right? I met with the police chief, actually, before I even proposed any of this, actually even before I was mayor, and said, hey, if I go on a whim and try to get the marsh reopened from the Utica side, is the police department okay with it? And the police said, guess what? If it was open again, we could patrol it, and there was actual active people in there canoeing and hiking and SUNY IT and the earth science classes from Proctor and everyone in there actively again, that would help. Because right now, they have to go in from North Utica to patrol everything. They rely on everything else. It's basically become a no man's land of exactly what you're saying over the past 15 years. I know society has moved on over the last 15 years. We didn't have the same unhoused issues and drug issues we had when the bridge closed, but firsthand, I can tell you, I was in that marsh all the time with my family. We launched boats on Barnes Ave all the time. We used to do the cleanups. My aunt, like, the Grabsky side of my family was Hope Street, Lenox Ave. My cousins are still over there on Lenox Ave. That was a very active part of the community, and the fact that no one's in there except the element you're talking right now is allowing it to grow. So I looked at it like an opportunity so we could rein that in, actually. Because right now we're having trouble getting it out of it, too.
Sure. Have you ever thought about, if you, obviously, if CSX takes down that bridge, why spend the money to build a pedestrian bridge there? Why not just go down in between Carcraft and West End and just use that crossing that's there already, invest a little bit of money? Because if you go on the Power Grid road, obviously there's got to be some kind of easement. Why not just use the existing structure, so to speak, and just fix that.
That is exactly why we're having this meeting. We need to know things from the community, like, would you rather have us press that, which actually I brought that up at CSX. They had some weird issue with easements from the sewer authority from the county. However, those are the type of inputs we want. Do we want Barnes Ave to be access to the marsh? Do you want pre-existing? Again, pedestrian bridge is me. I'm fine. Pedestrian bridges like that, especially within the scope of what the city budget can maintain and build, sometimes they're unobtainable. And it is a lot of money to build a pedestrian bridge, right? So it might not be a viable option at all, even if 50 people put it up here that they want. So, I mean, that's a great suggestion, right? Because that's the other thing. We've been looking at other ways to get in.
Now, with the pedestrian bridge, will the police be able to control it?
What's that?
With the pedestrian bridge, will the police be able to control the area?
Well, the point there is, I mean, I'm taking myself out of the picture as like mayor for a minute. I want to see actual access to gas.
Access for a car.
Right, so that someone could go in with a class on like a bus and do, like I said, their earth science projects. So Hamilton College and SUNY IT can go in there and do what they used to do. You know, there's a lot of access that was cut off. They still do it kind of from Marcy, but it's not the same. It's just not the same.
Hey, Mayor, just to interrupt
Yeah.
quickly. So part of the reason that we're having this outreach too, because it's needed in the neighborhood, but more pressingly, the city is applying for a grant to New York State for the BOA, as Carrie mentioned. Having a BOA opens up to a bunch of different state funding for us. So anything that comes out of this tonight on these boards, from the QR code survey, whatever, like all of this public comment will be put word for word into the grant application that we're supplying, because the state looks favorably on an application that has very robust public participation. So while this isn't going to be the last meeting, it's going to be a pretty important one that, you know, the state will read all of the comments and will understand exactly what the neighborhood wants and what's driving the changes here. Also, I just want to say too, this is all for like tonight.
Yeah,
is
tonight's
tonight's hopes and dreams, but the grant application is just planning money. So if we are awarded, which we would find out in January, all of this starts all over again, and we do more engagement, continue to talk to you, continue to get input about what the neighborhood wants. So there's
With the help of a consultant.
with the help of a consultant, yes. So it's not, it won't just be our faces you have to stare at, but the only truth tonight is that the bridge is coming down.
Yeah.
And the second truth is that we need to know what you guys want to do in that neighborhood.
Yeah, so I'll reiterate that. If we're awarded what we're going after here, this is so the city budget does not have to fund all of the technical work that has to go into what we can plan around this. Because you can't just go put out to bid or RFP or find a developer or even do city projects on the city property without doing that. And we want to do it this way, leveraged by community input, so that the city budget is not saddled with the fact that CSX is tearing this bridge down and we want to put the neighborhood back together.
Mayor, what's a proposed bid for the pedestrian bridge? Do you have any kind of?
There isn't one. Yeah, it's not even a thing. That's what I'm saying. It was just,
What was the one on the arterial? Just hit me with a number.
do you know?
It was a while ago. I can't
The
remember.
one they wanted to do over by Water Street was insane. It was like $10 million. That's what I'm saying. So it's like pedestrian bridges are very expensive and not used that much.
The problem that I would have with that, I would almost say this, so the pedestrian bridge that goes over the arterial,
Yeah.
has anybody done a count of, I know it sounds silly, but like, you know how the ADT has a car count for cars? What's the count for people actually walking across the
It'd be
bridge?
interesting to do. However, I will say that I use the bridge because I cruise around downtown. Just, you know, actually Chris and I rode over the bridge the other day on some bikes. And I was actually surprised at the amount of people from the western part of West Utica were walking across to go over to Park and Grocery. So it's used. I think the Court Street intersection, the way it was redone, making it way more passable by pedestrians, I think gets a lot more activity between, you know, eastern and western West Utica, I'll call it, right? But that's the key though. This input that you're saying is gonna have to be read by the state. Pedestrian bridge is waste of money, Chris Stevens, like business owner, right? Like that's the whole point of us doing this, like, and then we are going to literally, that's why we're doing this, you know?
I think we actually included one of your Facebook posts and a link to it in our grant application.
Yeah,
Or what the community says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean-
But I'm not trying to be funny, but if you think about about it, like, who would use that bridge? Now, if it was an actual bridge where a cop can go across it,
Yes.
and they patrol it, it's a little bit different, you know, or maybe let's just say if some of that property on the other side becomes viable for resale again, or a business can set up over there, you know, you can sell 5 acres, somebody can build something, but currently right now, not to use foul language, but there's like literally crackheads going across the bridge. They're
Right.
stealing stuff at nighttime,
And-
so the problem with a pedestrian bridge, you're basically paving a yellow brick road for people to come across to steal stuff, and then they run back to the marsh and stop patrol.
They did that at University of Rochester. They put a bridge over the Genesee River, and the University of Rochester campus after that had to lock their doors and have security there 24/7. So I hear what you're saying, and that's part of why we're doing this now. I do want more input from your table, because it's good, but I want to see if some other tables want to throw some stuff out there. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, sorry, you had your hand.
yeah.
What, does the brownfield sites depend on the grant money first?
It's all linked. So we have a designated BOA now, which is an opportunity area, which allows us to apply for these types of funds. If we do the appropriate type of planning, we can then apply for other funds to do real things after planning. Sorry, I called planning not real, but you know how I always want to do, right? Yeah, sorry. I always want to do stuff,
It's greater
right?
than construction document.
Yeah, but no, this does, if we do this right, it does open the city up to funding from all these different resources that are literally created by federal and state, right, to kind of pay for the sins of the past. And we don't benefit from that enough because we don't proactively figure out what we need to do.
The Department of State actually reached out to us, you know, in discussions and said, you know, we haven't seen an awful lot of brownfield grants applications coming from you guys. So it would be a great year to get some out there. So we've got, what, 6?
6 or 7 going.
Yeah.
So again, nobody has proposed a pedestrian bridge. Nobody has proposed a vehicular one. We are just looking for your input.
Yeah, completely.
Yes.
A couple of questions. So the first one is, how much are the grants that we're talking about? Like, are there like
You
any
say grants?
Like, yeah. Are there any limitations to the amount that you can receive?
It all depends on whatever opportunity's open. You can speak to that.
Yeah, for this specific grant, we're allowed to request up to $400,000.
Only 400,000?
That's the max for this specific funding stream.
Which is good for planning. That's
For the planning, not for any construction. This is all, we're all talking about design documents, construction documents, that type of stuff. Yeah.
And that's specifically so the city can do the assessment, create the opportunity plan, so that then either the city on city property or residents and property owners, partners, whoever else can, you know, then apply for things.
And that's a good question, because actually to Mr. Seaver's point, we can only apply for up to $400,000 for this. In the past, we've gotten estimates for pedestrian bridges that are like $500,000, like construction documents. So that could eat up the entire thing, you know, if we're awarded. But that's for you to tell them.
And then the second part to the question would be, is that orange parameter right there, like the only place that's going to be covered with the grant, or is it something else?
For this specific grant, yes.
Okay.
But we also have brownfield CFAs that are going to be covering the entire Main Street corridor and the former Mealy manufacturing site. We have a brownfields grant that is going to be covering the 3 blocks between next to Central L Street. There's a 3-block section there that we're focusing.
Seneca,
some.
Washington,
Yeah.
Broadway, between Westboro
Okay.
Street and Riskin Street.
There's a brownfield application that we're applying for that deals with the harbor. There's another one that we're applying for that specifically deals with Water Street and realigning Water Street. There's another that is a local waterfront revitalization plan that's also for the harbor. And there's a few others that are outside the brownfields opportunity, but they're also like in the consolidated funding application family, I guess you would say.
And the city hasn't done a lot of this to this extent in many years. So we're kind of kickstarting this, utilizing the BOA as another opportunity instead of the typical grants you read about. Because this is, we've gone to many conferences, really a great opportunity for the city to align new development with quote site cleanup if needed. Because that's the other thing, a brownfield doesn't guarantee it's dirty. Brownfield means you have to do a phase 1 and 2 to figure out if it is. But no one wants to do that phase 1 and 2, you don't know what's there, and you're gonna be stuck with it after, right? So these type of opportunities allow us to finally unlock these properties. How many times have you heard us say that, or not us, like the city say, we're landlocked? We're not landlocked. We just have been ignoring a lot of land that's there. But I just wanted to just kick off, like, tonight is focused around what's in the orange, because that's what this planning grant application is for. But because we have a huge focus on the entire Western Gateway District, like corridor, right? We want input on that as well. But yes, the orange, yeah.
So if you go to the city's website and go to the Common Council minutes, the Common Council had approved resolutions for every application that we're making. So you can go through and see all of them that we're applying for this year.
If I'm not mistaken, that area is mostly like residential, right?
This area, yes.
So there's not really like any room for like any commercial development, or am I wrong?
And
Well, the
that's-
frontage along Oriskany Street is commercial.
So only along risk.
So what's interesting though is if you walk through that neighborhood, right? There's pools and backyards, trampolines, kids riding bikes up and down. Like it's a very populated neighborhood that just has not had any type of pointed attention.
Where the orange part is, my house is right there, you know where my house is?
Yeah,
Right there on
yeah.
North Street. Where the orange part is.
Yeah, you're right here.
My house is right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
It's okay?
No, this doesn't mean,
Yeah, that's, no.
yeah, this doesn't mean like everything's gonna be gone. No, this is,
Okay.
no, this is input on
Right
if,
there in the corner.
right.
Yeah.
No, this
You're
is,
gonna stay there, you're gonna live there, and you're gonna tell us what you want your neighborhood to look like.
right, so
Yeah, we're trying to
that's,
figure out how to make it better.
Okay.
Yeah.
so like once the Q and A is done, just so I can restate this and then we can continue with the Q and A. Once the Q and A is done, right, we want everyone to come up and look at just these examples of things, right, just to kind of get your mind going. And we literally want you to either write down or take the online survey of how you feel if things were a little different, what they would look like. And we want that to be in these applications from the people who actually live in this neighborhood, okay, or have businesses on the frontage, or are adjacent to it, right? Because this, every bit of this will feed into improving that entire district.
I was just gonna say, if you guys want to know more about specifically like the brownfield opportunity area and what the grants would fund, I have a bunch of worksheets on this front table that you can, and a QR code to a website that has more information.
So with that, we invite you to come on up. We'll be here to talk and discuss. We've got a couple of different ideas of types of projects that are very unstable at the moment. We've got some colored dots that we would have you put by things that you're interested in seeing as a part of possible improvements on these two boards. We've got maps, and then on the other side, we have a couple of open-ended questions that we would like you to, we've got some markers. If you can, we would like you to just write your thoughts and ideas on there, responses.
We'll type it into a Word document.
If not, we can also write them down, on paper. But as Laura said, this will all be included in our application to the city.
But directly.
We will have photos of what is written, we will transcribe it word for word, and then hopefully, if and when we're awarded, we'll reconvene in a little bit more of a polished setting.
Can you explain the dots, because they're color-coded for a reason?
No.
No, you don't want to do it? Oh, I thought you were going to do the whole red if you don't want it.
No.
Okay, so just dots if you want it, okay.
Yeah.
Favorite color.
Massing matters. The more dots means you want it.
All right. And feel free to pin any of us down for questions, one-on-one or in a group or at the table or what have you.
Yeah, Carrie also mentioned this too, but we do have a quick survey if you want to give your input that way, if you don't feel like talking to us or writing anything down. There's an online survey you can take, and then if you don't feel like scanning a QR code either, Carrie hopefully printed out some paper copies of it, so you can fill that out. We have pens, and you can just give it to one of us, and we will record your input.
Thank you.
You know, and like Mayor said, there's ways to get, you know, there's the at-grade process by school running. But then you can also get to like good on P Street, and then down the road by International Paper, Calvin Manufacturing. There's really sketchy. And then that's oh, so that's fenced off now. So there's no easy way to get
I mean, the road's there, you can't get there.
yeah, you can, but
It's fenced up, it's locked.
there have to be a lot of repairs made, and you have to look at ownership issues.
Is there a date where the bridge is like planned to come down?
No. And that's the problem that we had is, we said, well, when is the bridge coming down? Well, we can tell you. Can you send us any emails that we had with the previous administration? No, everything was good.
How does it work with even with the bridge in Whitesboro? The flooding.
I think they will. I'd have to look at it. I know that has dates.
I know that's something I heard that the working grant was money, but like,
We do have another, let me just.
Yeah, for the house. It's just to be a house.
that's where you
I mean, normally they have some sort of.
right there?